Hey, what's up everybody? This is CG and this is CG Reviews. Again, let me tell you something right now. What an exciting time to be a PlayStation fan, right? I gotta tell you, I know that I'm newer to being a PlayStation fan, like leaning more towards PlayStation than Xbox, right? And as you guys all jump in, please feel free to hit that like button, share it out, all that kind of stuff. Sorry I'm a little bit late, but I was just kind of gathering some of these notes up from some of these different articles. Now, the interesting thing is, I've been an Xbox fan since I can remember. Okay, since the original Xbox, that hit me hard as a hardcore gamer, and I never really looked back. The Xbox 360, incredible piece of hardware. They really went and did everything they could. Introduced me to Gears of War. The first Xbox introduced me to stuff like Halo and KOTOR, and Xbox 360 was like Gears of War, and Halo continued to get better, and they introduced, like the Forza Horizon series. Things were really kicking good. They were getting us timed content. If you played Call of Duty, you got the maps first, you got other content first. It was just such a great console. Right away from the Xbox One, from the start of it, we got really kind of lackluster situations, lackluster games, lackluster support. So I would say that this entire generation, we've actually gotten nothing to really be excited about in terms of actual games or like that, something to be excited about. Now, for this year, pretty much starting when Microsoft's E3, where they promised another biggest E3 ever, right? Pretty much since they, I kind of had this in the back of my head, like, man, it kind of sucks being an Xbox fan because they keep promising us all this stuff and how great these shows are going to be and how much they're holding back for next year or the year after that, and we literally got nothing to be excited about in the meantime, right? Like, this whole generation, there's been nothing to get excited about, and it sucks. Now, if you're more able to just have all three consoles and, then at least you get Sony and Nintendo stuff to get excited about. So I've been extremely excited about the stuff that I've been hearing about from Sony. Today, they dropped some really cool stuff. Mr. Twister says, quick support for the beast himself, Crapgamer. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about the stuff that Sony's talking about. They announced a lot of cool stuff today, and we're going to definitely get into it because this is smart. And let me explain why what Sony is doing is very smart, okay? Getting the hardware stuff out of the way right now, like the tech stuff, they can focus solely on the games when they actually do introduce it. So they're going to probably go, here's the PS5. Here's what it looks like. Here's what it's going to cost. But guess what? Here's the games. We're going to show you game. And I think that's a very smart plan. That's what really is going to kind of, I think, win them over for a lot of people next generation. As you all get in here, please hit the like button, share it out. I would appreciate it. So, with that being said, like I said, Sony seems to have a lot of plan for themselves. Like, they have this idea. They have these ideas where they want things to work a certain way, to be a certain way, and I can respect that, okay? I really like how they work this kind of stuff. So, let's see. What's your name? Sergeant Salty Nuts. I appreciate it. Hold on. 9 lives. You're already damage controlling. He says, Xbox already announced this. Sony's late to the game. Xbox hasn't really announced anything, though, have they? I mean, if you think about it, what has Xbox really announced? Sony announced that they had ray tracing prior as well. The only thing is now they kind of confirm something that people didn't know, which is that it's hardware. Like, we were hearing from all the quote-unquote Xbox aficionados that the PlayStation 5 wouldn't in fact do hardware level ray tracing, but they would be reduced to using a lesser version with software ray tracing, which now Sony has confirmed that's not the case. They actually have a very powerful console. So listen, is the PS5 going to be more powerful than the Xbox Scarlett? Probably. They're probably going to be so close. It's probably going to be super close. The difference is going to be the software and the tangible things like that, okay? So, again, if you're in a software battle, that's a battle that Microsoft's already lost. They'll continue to lose that. They just do not have the type of talent in terms of the studios, in terms of the IP, in terms of anything that Sony has. So it's going to be an uphill battle for them to really do almost anything. And it's going to be interesting to see how Microsoft can kind of do this. Okay, so listen, You might go, well, Sony just announced some basic stuff today, right? And as you guys get in here, please hit the like button. I would appreciate it. I just want to say that what Sony did today was totally get their hype levels up for the rest of this year into next year. Microsoft doesn't have anything Scarlet related to talk about probably until close to E3 next year. So that means Sony controls the entire narrative. Sony, not only did they talk about the PlayStation 5, which, by the way, they've confirmed that it's the PlayStation 5, so we don't have to worry. There was some rumors that maybe they just call it the PlayStation or something like that, given that, a lot of people expect this maybe to be the last quote-unquote hardware generation or console generation, but I'm dubious on that. But some people just figure that PlayStation and Xbox will be platforms, quote-unquote, and so they would just maybe call them Xbox and PlayStation respectively and go on. No, it's actually called a PlayStation 5, which is really cool, I think. Glad to see them kind of clear that up, get that out of the way. They're saying it's launching at holiday 2020. Again, it's going right up against Xbox Scarlet, right up against the Xbox Scarlet. They unveiled it in April. There's been a lot of exciting and interest about it. A lot of FUD and a lot of misinformation as well. Like I said, there's a lot of Xbox, quote-unquote, aficionados that were saying that the stuff that Sony announced today wasn't possible. And they weren't going to be able to do the hardware ray tracing. That was only going to be Xbox Scarlet and blah, blah, blah. So now we know these consoles are going to be damn near the same thing. They're probably going to be both $500, doing the exact same thing. The only difference is going to be like the controllers, the games, the intangibles, and maybe that loyalty or trust. And in my opinion, that's where Sony really kind of steps it up. And excuse me if I'm not reading the chat right now, but yeah, you know what I mean. Also, yes, PS5 definitely trending on Twitter all day. That is really cool. Really happy to see that as well. Like I said, Sony knows how to do things. They know how to get things done, and that's exactly what they were able to do here. So anyway, let me continue reading this. So according to the Wired magazine, they covered some more updates, refers to things they're quite excited about. The new controller that's going to ship with the PS5. One of the goals with the next generation is to deepen the feeling of immersion when you play, and they had the opportunity with the new controller to reimagine how the sense of touch can add to the immersion. To that end, there are two key innovations with the PS5's new controller. Firstly, they're adding haptic feedback to replace the rumble found in controllers since the 5th generation of consoles. With haptics, you truly feel a broader range of feedback. So crashing into a wall in a race car feels much more different than making a tackle in a football field, and you can get every sense of variety and textures when you do that. The second innovation is something that they call adaptive triggers, which have been incorporated in the trigger buttons L2 and R2. Developers can program the resistance of the triggers so that you can feel tactile sensations of drawing a bow and arrow or accelerating on off-road vehicles and things like that. So in combination with the haptics, this can produce a powerful experience that much better simulates various actions. Game creators have started to receive early versions of the new controller, and we can't wait to see what their imagination does, etc., etc. And they say, well, while there's a lot more to share about the PlayStation 5 in the year ahead, we have plenty of blockbuster experiences coming your way on PS4, including Death Stranding, The Last of Us Part 2, and Ghost of Tsushima. I'd like to thank all PlayStation fans for continuing the journey with us as we embark on the future of games. So not only are they saying, hey, we've got this awesome beastly PS5 coming down the road, but they're like, stick with us on the PS4 because we give you games. I mean, think about this. If you're an Xbox fan and you hear this list of Death Stranding, The Last of Us 2, and Ghost of Tsushima, those are big AAA games. 2 of those 3 are big AAA new IP. And Xbox has 0 new AAA IP announced since 2015. That's something that, I mean, that's got to sting a little bit if you're an Xbox fan. Never have anything to really get excited about in terms of games and things like that. That's really, really kind of upsetting in my opinion. That to me is really bad. I am also Bluepoint. They also are working on a PS5 game as well. That's something that people are really, really going to have to kind of keep in mind as well. Like, Sony is going to be very well prepared for the next generation, and so what they're doing is making sure that they have plenty of games to launch, making sure that people have an idea of what to expect. Now, can any of you, if you're an Xbox fan, okay, can you honestly say that you expect Microsoft to go out there and only talk about games when they announce an Xbox Scarlet or show it off next year sometime, by the way, do you think that they're actually going to just show off games? Or follow me here, are they going to flub their messaging? Are they going to, make some kind of weird announcement about PC or Game Pass? Is it going to be a Game Pass infomercial? Are they going to be talking about a bunch of indies while they're trying to sell you a new 8K console? Like, do you get the feeling that I do that Microsoft is going to totally, like, mess this up when they announce the Xbox Scarlet and, like, confuse the heck out of people and talk about a bunch of stuff that nobody cares about, right? Like, Sony are setting themselves up to talk about games when they actually reveal the PS5, and I just get the feeling that Microsoft is totally going to screw that up, and they're going to end up talking about, all this other stuff that people don't care about. Like, the average person doesn't really care about Game Pass or these different services or anything like that. They want to hear about the new AAA exclusives, and I think that that's something that Microsoft is very tone deaf with, and so it's exciting to see them kind of talk about some of this stuff that's happening. And again, very, very cool stuff, man. I'm very impressed with what Sony was able to do with a simple tweet this morning. As we pass over 300 watching, please hit the like button. I would appreciate it. Again, I'm very excited by this, and if you guys are excited, let me know in the chat. I think this is pretty cool stuff. So anyway, as we get closer to next generation, I would expect more and more of this stuff to come out, but this isn't where it ends, though. There is so much more stuff to talk about, obviously. So PlayStation 5 Holiday 2020, they haven't said much about the console since April, when Wired actually broke the story, the development, and things like that. Sony skipped E3, etc., etc. Mark Cerny wanted to clarify something, because basically, like I said, you had a lot of these Xbox-centric people talking about how PlayStation 5 wouldn't do hardware accelerated ray tracing. What that is just different in the way things and lighting and stuff like that, reflections and stuff works. And so they were trying to make it out to be like Xbox Scarlet would exclusively have this feature, and it's not true. So he spoke about the ability to support ray tracing, a technique that can enable complex lighting and sound effects in 3D environments. Given the many questions he's received since then, he fears he may not have been ambiguous about how the PS5 would accomplish this, and confirms that it's not a software level fix, which some had feared. There is ray tracing acceleration in the GPU hardware, he says, which I believe is the statement that people were looking for. A belief borne out by my own Twitter mentions, which for a couple of weeks in April made a graphics rendering technique seem like the only thing the internet had ever cared about. So with that in hand, back to the PS5 solid-state drive, which Cerny first extolled for the way it can turn loading times from a hassle to a blink. So we've already seen this, right? So Microsoft talks a good game. They're like, we're going to have a solid-state drive. We're going to do ray tracing. But Sony's actually showed off their solid-state drive, and it works. Like, we've seen Spider-Man load up in like 0 seconds. So they showed that off. They're doing a new UI as well. So listen to this. Think about this. If you're an Xbox fan, and Sony's already confirmed that they're doing like a brand new redesigned UI. We are in year 6 of the Xbox One, okay? Year 6, and we are still, at this moment, in beta testing the UI on the Xbox One. How the heck have we paid all this money for Xbox One consoles, even if you just now got an X or an S or a whatever? You paid between $300 and $500 for a console that is still using beta forms for its UI, and it doesn't work. It just flat out is sluggish, doesn't work. And my question would be, are they planning to have a new UI for the next Xbox? Is it going to be the same one we have now? Is it going to be a beta tested UI? Is it still going to be getting constantly updated every 2 weeks like it is now? Are you going to have to be in a beta program? Like, is that ridiculous to you guys out there? Please hit the like button. Share this out. I would appreciate it. I'm just very curious about how you guys feel about that. Is it something that's weird to you that we are 6 years into this and it's being beta tested still? Like, I don't understand that at all, you know? I just completely do not understand that. I hope that, I hope that you guys get what I'm trying to say. But it is weird that Xbox, who, again, is run by Microsoft, are beta testing a UI 6 years into the generation still. Like, how is that okay? How are people really okay with this? Like, you do not believe, honestly, that people really support this. They're like, no, the UI is the least of my worries. It's, games. And I agree, games are the most important thing. But holy cow. Think about this for a second, okay? What games have we been getting from Microsoft? What are they actually going to deliver? What have they promised? Are they actually going to be able to deliver us stuff? Like, I saw people in the chat earlier talking about different stuff, like, oh, well, this studio's doing that or this studio's doing that. But do you have that real trust for that studio? Do you have that real trust on Microsoft's part that they're going to actually deliver something that we haven't had before in a way that they can actually, deliver that to the fans, okay? So it's easy to go, well, they're doing this, or this, and it sounds good. They've added 8 studios or whatever it is. But when you break down the studios, are those actually studios that you trust to make something good or great? Or is that something that you don't really trust? Like, I think that's something that I would look at anyway and just say, well, I don't really exactly trust what Microsoft is going to do. So, for me personally, I think it's a little bit of a shame that Microsoft, who makes Windows, by the way, which is an operating system that, 99% of people use, can't get something right as simple as a UI in their console. Not only that, you want to know one of the reasons why it's such an embarrassment at this point. One of the reasons why it's such an embarrassment is, simply put, is the fact that Microsoft is Microsoft, right? That's their thing. They're supposed to be doing the software and services there. That's what they do. And the fact that Sony has outclassed them this generation from the start with the UI, with a much smoother experience, is really telling. Not only that, but Microsoft wants everything to share the same UI, okay? So you would have to imagine that the Xbox Scarlett is going to have the same UI as the Xbox One, and it's got to run on that base launch Xbox One, as in addition to how much powerful the Scarlett is, right? Whereas with the PS5, it's going to run a totally different UI than the PS4. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, Microsoft makes it harder on themselves. When Microsoft incorporated the store from the Windows Store into the Xbox Store, it all went to hell. It was so bad. Like, the store totally sucks. Go try to download the 360 games that you get every month free and see how it lags up and locks up and it doesn't tell you the price. It's just it's a joke. Okay, the Xbox Store is a joke because they're trying to share the Xbox Store with the Windows Store, and the Windows Store is terrible. So, again, why not just have the Xbox be something of itself? It doesn't have to match everything perfectly. I know you're putting all your games on PC as well, but you don't have to do that. You know what I mean? You don't actually have to. You're Microsoft, I get it, but you don't have to do that. Some things are going to run things better than others. Let the Xbox Scarlett be its own thing. I am super worried that Xbox Scarlett is going to be completely hampered and held back by that launch Xbox One, by the SAT edition, by the S. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are things that could potentially hold back the Xbox One. Why is Halo Infinite going to run on a launch Xbox One? Okay? Like, why is that even a thing? That shouldn't be a thing. Okay? Like, it's a joke is what it is. And Microsoft is the punchline at every turn, and that's what's kind of funny to me. As you guys hit the like button, share it out. I would appreciate it. Hold on, what's it say? I bet Sony will release their own service in the next couple of years. Well, we don't know what they're going to do. Max says Xbox should release Game Pass on PS5. Look, I would assume that Microsoft, and I've heard that Microsoft really wanted to do that. So, yeah, I think that that's something that could actually happen at some point. I hope that they announce that before the Scarlett comes out, though, because, to be honest with you, I don't plan on buying a Scarlett anyway, but I would assume that, that Phil actually wants Xbox games on the PlayStation. So if they were to announce that, that's even less of a reason to buy an Xbox Scarlett. Hold on. 9Live says, you realize Xbox will release 4 exclusives a year next gen compared to Sony's 1 per year. What are you talking about? 1 per year. Sony's announcing has more than 1 per year now, and they're winding down the generation. They just released Concrete Genie today. Medieval remake comes out. They still have Death Stranding. To start off next year, it's Final Fantasy VII Remake, The Last of Us 2, Ghost of Tsushima. We also got Shenmue 3 coming out this year. You know what I'm saying? They have a lot of games. I don't know where you get this one game a year stuff from, but dude, the biggest and best year that I can remember was Sony's 2018, where they hit us with God of War, Detroit Become Human, Spider-Man. Like, it doesn't get much better than that, okay? Microsoft hasn't released anything. They haven't released a new AAA IP or announced a new AAA IP since 2015. They haven't released a new AAA exclusive since, I believe, 2016. So, yeah, I would say that it's a pretty big difference between these console companies and their servers and their software and stuff like that. Again, I think Microsoft is going to be fine with what they want to do. I don't think they're going to be like hurt. Like, if they're fine with losing money and changing around their metrics, then they'll be fine long term. I'm just saying, for me personally, I don't really find them to be as much into the console thing as Sony is. You know what I mean? Like, just from my point of view, I don't see them being able to be competition so much for what Sony is going to do. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of work that out. But again, the fact that Sony jumped on them right now with this news really tells you how they're planning on going at Microsoft next generation. Like, realistically, they're doing what a lot of people didn't give them credit to. Like, this year, Sony didn't go to any of these events. There's no PSX, there's no Gamescom, there's no E3, but they still managed to take the spotlight completely away. So, you know what? They did an absolutely fantastic job. Absolutely fantastic. And I think that, you know, they're not getting enough credit for what they've been able to do. Nine Live says, you're naming a bunch of indies. Dude, Death Stranding, Days Gone, those are indies. Shenmue 3, that's an indie. That's a game that millions of people, wanted. Concrete Genie is a smaller game, but you can have these smaller games with the larger games because it's called icing on the cake for a reason, okay? When you look over at Microsoft, we only had the smaller games for years. Your Halo Wars 2, little smaller games. Your State of Decay 2s, your smaller games. Your Crackdown 3s, your smaller games. These terrible little small games, okay? Look at what we have left. 14 months of nothing from Xbox. You know what we're getting from Xbox over the next 14 months? Battletoads, Ori 2, a flight game that's a teaching tool for people, and Bleeding Edge, a free-to-play brawler, online only. Those are your games that are coming to Xbox over the next 14 months. Those aren't AAA games. That's pathetic. That's pathetic. I can't believe that people still damage control for this company after they basically kind of screwed everybody over for a multitude of years. I absolutely have no pity for people that do that. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to support Xbox, that's on you. For me personally, I'm not buying an Xbox Scarlet. I can't do it. Even though I do think that Phil's going to announce something like he's been hiding Fable. We know that's the worst kept secret in gaming. He has Fable in the back burner. He's going to announce it. I don't think it's going to come out till 2022 or so, but he's going to announce it because he knows he has to announce something other than Halo. Like, again, Halo, Forza, and Gears. Those seem to be the only games that they ever put out. And again, people that are expecting those to win Xbox, any kind of sales or NPDs or anything, look at their NPDs for the top 10 best-selling Xbox exclusives. It's all Halo, Gears, Forza, right? If that stuff didn't win or get them anywhere this generation, what makes people think it's going to do anything next generation? Because let's be honest, a lot of these studios aren't going to be ready with games for the Xbox until probably it'd be a good bet to assume that they won't be ready until sometime 2022, 2023, 2024, something like that. So maybe mid-gen, next gen. And that's the reason why why Microsoft, has been doing this. Get Game Pass for $1. Lock it up through 2023 or whatever it is. You know what I mean? They want people locked into their ecosystem for that $1 because they know that they're going to have much less than what Sony's going to have in that amount of time. And Microsoft isn't even ashamed to say that. You know, like Phil Spencer even says, hey, we could announce some stuff that would give people, you know, a little bit of faith in the brand, but we're not going to do that, you know? So, yeah, like, this is the guy that's running Xbox. Like, I'm at the point where I'm over his BS where, you know, I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that people believe anything Phil Spencer says these days, especially when it comes to gaming, because you can literally tear down anything that he says, and you could find something that he said to kind of contradict something else he said. And I get it that everybody does that, right? Like, you know, you can find, like, I wasn't a huge PlayStation fan, and now it's like I've come to respect and really kind of see the loyalty and understand that more. And so I changed. So I understand people change, but I'm not the head of a corporation like Xbox telling you guys year after year that it's going to be the biggest and best ever E3 and the biggest lineup ever with more exclusives and all this stuff, and announce more hardware than software over the last 3 years. And so again, I feel like, you know, the multitude of lies. Like 2 years ago, Phil Spencer said console gamers don't care about frames per second. They don't care about 60 frames. Now with you know, with what we have now, it's all about the 60 frames, right? Phil Spencer said he was going to make up Street Fighter V being exclusive to PlayStation. Did he ever do that? No, of course not. He didn't, you know. He said canceling Scalebound was, quote unquote, a good thing for gamers. You know, closing down Lionhead Studios and canceling Fable and canceling, you know, the game. You know, we were getting stuff like Voodoo Vince Remastered and Phantom Dust with original assets, like Super Lucky's Tale, which didn't even stay exclusive. Ori, which didn't even stay exclusive. Cuphead, which didn't even stay exclusive. Like, these is the guy that you're trusting. I can understand why people are leaving Xbox at every turn. You know, and for me personally, I can understand that much more now than I could have like a year or two ago, because I'm in that situation where I spent so much money on Xbox this generation, and I've seen them completely falter and just not do well. And I'm hoping that they can change that around, and hoping that they can do something to sort of change that perception. Without being able to change that perception, I think that the Xbox is DOA in terms of what we know it as. You know, like, is this something that they can change? I don't know, but I think that they're going to have to be able to get people out of that perception that Xbox is just mediocre games, and that Game Pass is where they put these kind of lackluster games and stuff like that. So maybe we'll see that change. Maybe Phil will actually come out and start announcing something. But I gotta say, man, Sony probably caught them by surprise by announcing this, and you know, and kind of taking any Xbox thunder that there is. Again, pretty much, you know, a lot of stuff, maybe stuff that we expected, but I actually didn't expect Sony to go out there and kind of announce, you know, the multitude of stuff that they are. It makes sense for them to want to cover as much ground with the hardware as they can now, so that they can focus on the software later. And again, don't be surprised to see Microsoft sort of flub that when they actually get in that situation. And what I mean by that is, Microsoft tends to put their foot in their mouth a lot. You know, they tend to do that, and it's something that, you know, is pretty lackluster. You know, I think that's something that that Microsoft has to get out of as well. They've got to be able to kind of change and do things. Again, so many of these Xbox dudes are eating crow today. The ones that swore up and down that PS5 couldn't do hardware ray tracing, the ones that swore up and down Scarlet was going to be more powerful. What happens in a world where these things are equal, or maybe even the PS5 a little bit more powerful, and PlayStation 5 also is going to offer backwards compatibility, so that's no longer a thing. And in fact, there's plenty of instances where the PlayStation 5 will have a one-up over the Xbox Scarlet, with the situation like if you want to play free-to-play games online, you don't need to pay to play PSN Plus to play those type of games, whereas on Xbox you do. There is more, even though I fully expect Sony to do streaming and stuff like that too. I've been saying that for over a year. But it doesn't matter if you have the games to attract people. Like, people that want to play those games natively or buy them, they're going to have to buy a PS5. And I think that gives them a huge advantage. Whereas on Microsoft's side, I've seen more and more people go to the PC side of things, simply because, you know, why continue to upgrade? Like, if you're just an average person, say you're an average Xbox fan like me, and you're a hardcore Xbox fan, and you bought a $500 Xbox One at launch, okay? Then you bought an S for another $400, and then you bought an X for another $500. So you spent $1,500 on Xbox consoles. Well, you could spend $1,500 and get a beastly PC and not have to upgrade it anymore and play games better than the Scarlet will. So that's why I'm starting this. Plus, you don't have to pay $60 a year for live, and you can get cheap Steam games and stuff like that. So again, you're actually saving money. So over the past 6 years, an Xbox owner that's paying for live has paid what? How much money? You know what I mean? Like $300 more on top of that. So you're talking almost $2,000 between 3 Xbox consoles and 6 years of Xbox Live. That's not counting Game Pass or anything else. That's expensive. That's expensive, and I gotta say, feeling kind of ripped off with that. So yeah, very, very interesting to sort of see Sony kind of go all out and mention this stuff. Hey, hit this like button. Let's get up over 100 likes. I would appreciate it. You guys have been awesome. All Digital 84 says next gen is going to be about content, not power. Well, I think they'll both be pretty close in power, so the content is most important. Let's see. What else did I just see? Oh, Mr. Miracle says, oh, I ain't touching that. Look, PlayStation is PlayStation, man. They run the show. They run the show. They're the ones that are really doing everything right now. So anybody that wants to say that Microsoft is living in 3019, get a grip, man. Microsoft can't even get their console to outsell the Wii U at this particular point per month, okay? They're selling so little. Their biggest title, Gears of War 5, is already dropping out of the top 10 of played games on Xbox a month after launch. They went after those casual gamers and thought that casual fans were going to like Gears of War, and it was always going to be a very hardcore game, and hardcore gamers didn't want to play with the casuals, and casuals aren't going to stick around long term. So there is that. People have to understand that that's the way these type of games go. And again, at the same time, it'll be interesting to see how Microsoft can adjust in the future, if they even bother with that. Okay, so we got the initial launch week numbers, which were 3 million players, even though they were giving away that game for like a pack of Pop-Tarts and a Coke and some Oreos. They only managed to get 3 million that first week over PC and console, and here it is over a month later, and we have 0 new updates on how many people have played. Now, what's interesting is the way that Microsoft actually announces this type of stuff, right? So Microsoft tends to announce stuff in a weird way, like 3 million players. They're not saying 3 million concurrently right now, this second, are playing, right? They're saying 3 million started the game and stopped. They might not have gone any further than that. Now they can continue to add to that. Let's say over the last month, 2 million more players have started, and they might not even have finished the game, but they started it, played it for 5 minutes and stopped. They're going to add those to the player list. Those aren't active or current users, of course, but hey, I'm sure that Microsoft will come out and say something like, holy cow, 5.5 million players. It's a record for Gears of War. And if you ask them how many are actually playing it right now, they'll probably say something like, well, 10,000. It's not a lot of people. Like, it's already dead on Steam. I can't imagine that there's very many playing it on Windows. It just doesn't seem like PC gamers really care much about Gears of War. So there is that to kind of take a look at as well. And it's just very interesting to see people's reactions to some of Microsoft's franchises when it comes to, like a Gears of War and things like that. So I, for one, am very interested to see what they're going to be able to work on in the future and be able to attract like console fans back. Like, at the end of the day, what did Microsoft putting their games on PC and focusing on PC, what did they really do? What did that do for Xbox, aside from, and I'm not saying that I care personally, but it does give that feeling that nobody, you know what I mean, that Xbox has no games, nothing exclusive, because you can just play it wherever the hell you want. So it does have that perception, that negative perception. I'm not saying that I believe that. I'm just saying that it has that negative perception that, that people tend to buy into, okay? So, again, announcing your games and putting them on PC hasn't garnered you any extra sales, any extra players. So all it's done is really hampered your console sales and hampered your perception, the perceptions revolving around your console. So realistically, they haven't really achieved anything by doing this, and I think that's really a problem. And I do hope that they can. Honestly, they can't do anything about it right now. So I'm not sure exactly when they're going to be able to do something. Like they can't change what they've done. You know, they're not going to go out there and go, well, you know, we are bad. You know, we really messed up, and we wanted to put our games on PC to give everybody a chance, and it turns out people on PC don't really want to play our games anyway and are bad. Okay, so it to me is just one of those things that really just looks bad on Microsoft. Again, they don't know kind of what they're doing. They just don't have, like, Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft is Microsoft. Let's be honest. I didn't see this when they originally got into this console business. They legitimately wanted to be there for the hardcore gamer, and I thought that was really cool. And now with this generation and the next generation, it seems to me like they're more focused on just how many casual gamers and how many dollars they can make. And I understand that it's a business, but you also have to understand that you have to earn that loyalty and trust from fans. That's something that, like, Sega didn't have. Like, Sega repeatedly lost that fan loyalty by putting out too many pieces of hardware, not supporting the hardware that they had. And you know what I mean? By the time the Dreamcast came out, even though it was good, it was like people have already been fed up and they moved on to PlayStation. And I feel like Microsoft, instead of focusing on PC and cloud and this stuff right now, which I believe it's too early, they should have been focusing on keeping their hardcore happy and launching a console and giving us some great exclusive content, and then starting to introduce some of this other stuff. I just feel like what they're doing, they're going about things, this whole master of nothing thing, a little bit too much, you know. And for me personally, that's just how I kind of feel about it. Let's see. 9Live says, give Phil props. He outlasted Reggie and Layden. Dude, Layden went out. You know, Layden went out on top. You can't really knock the guy. Phil will never go out on top. That's just a sad fact, okay? Reggie went out on top. How can you blame the guy, right? The guy literally suffered through the Wii U, turned it around, and now he's lapped the Xbox One in 2 years. So props to Reggie, man. I really like that guy. Sean Layden, props to him. Really, I mean, led the charge. How hard is it to get 100 million plus console sales? You know what I mean? Incredibly difficult. And then you got Microsoft, who under Phil Spencer have sold less than 40 million consoles. That right there tells you everything you need to know. You know, so Phil has outlasted them. What does that mean exactly? It just means that Phil is never going to get that shining moment of selling great and having these things do extremely well. That's going to be a big problem for him as well. You know what I mean? Hey, hit the like button. Let's get a bunch of likes in here. Rat the Emperor says, no one cares for PlayStation now. We want games. All we want is great games, unlike Xbox. I agree. Well, listen, here's the thing that I've always said. It seems to me like Xbox fans have extremely high standards for PlayStation games and low standards for Xbox games. In one breath, they'll be talking up Flight Simulator and Battletoads and Bleeding Edge and how great these games are, and thank you, Microsoft. And in the next breath, they'll be saying how Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us 2 are overrated and don't look good. And like, it's hard to take those people seriously, okay? Like, you got people that claim that they're not fanboys of anything, but all they do is damage control for Microsoft and make it seem like Microsoft does everything great and Sony has to react to Microsoft. Boy, let me tell you something. Sony doesn't have to react to Microsoft. Microsoft kicks themselves in the butt every announcement, everything that they do. People don't trust Microsoft. Microsoft has given people no reason to trust them. They have the most to show. Sony and Nintendo are number 1 and number 2 for a reason. It's called exclusive games. Why Phil Spencer doesn't get this, I'll never know. It's not rocket science. Go to any forum, go to any hardcore site. People are talking about exclusive games. It's exclusive games. People don't care about playing on your phone while you poop. They don't care about playing Halo and The Witcher 3 while you're on a bus. You know, if people did, they would just play a Switch. That's probably why the Switch is so great, right? But it's not streaming stuff. It's playing stuff natively. Okay? Nobody's going to carry around a fanny pack with an Xbox controller and a harness for their controller. Like, this whole thing is ludicrous. It's not saving Xbox. It's not helping Xbox. It's not doing anything. It's making Xbox even more of a laughingstock. And I get that Sony's going to do streaming too, but their focus is on trying to get the hardcore there and talking up the console. Microsoft doesn't even... Their own people, Mikey Barra, he says, you'll be able to get Game Pass and play Outer Worlds on PC and console for $1. You know what I mean? He doesn't even call it Xbox anymore. You know, like, the people at Microsoft don't even call their own system an Xbox. You know, this is absolutely ridiculous. I'm just saying, for me personally, I understand why people are upset and why people are leaving Xbox, and I don't blame them one bit. This is something that I've had, like, so much problems with, you know, over the years, especially like with the amount of money and time that I put into doing this stuff. Look back at any of the stuff that I've talked about on this channel. It's really just one of those things where I've wasted my life and I've wasted my money on a platform that really gives no crap about gaming. They have no sense of history in gaming. They just out there milking their products over and over and over again. Okay, look at it: Halo, Gears, and Forza. That's a big problem. Okay, those brands in and of themselves are pretty decent brands. The problem is, if you don't have anything to buffer those with new AAA IP, then they get stale, and that's exactly what's happened. So Microsoft has these stale brands that they think are going to do well, and it's really not going to do well. It's really something that I think people are kind of turning away from at this particular time. Like, do gamers really even care about Gears of War anymore? I feel like that was my favorite franchise. I got a tattoo of it, and I don't even care enough to go back to the game. Okay? Like, if I feel that way, how many other people feel that way? Sure, you only paid $1 for it, great, but how's that helping Microsoft? How's that keeping Xbox afloat? Like, what incentive is that to keep exclusives off of PlayStation or Nintendo platforms going forward? Like, I just think that it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's not really something fiscal. Like, Microsoft, I'll admit this, okay? If Microsoft had 100 million subscribers in Game Pass, that's great. But you got the amount of content that you would have to create to do that, and the amount of not just content, but great content that you can't get anywhere else. Wow, it would be astronomical. Okay, you would literally have to be dropping something every couple of weeks, and something really, really great, like award-winning stuff. Okay, and I just don't see Microsoft staying around long enough in gaming to do that, right? Especially given their prior history and the fact that we're supposedly getting this new version of Microsoft and this new version of Xbox, and it's Battletoads and Bleeding Edge and flight simulators. Okay, like, that's what Microsoft thinks people want. That's what them with their ear to the ground, paying attention to what gamers want. Like, you start to have to question that a little bit. Anyway, Sir X-Man says they won't even bring back old IP that was good. Agree 100%. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Microsoft claims that they're listening to the fans, right? And they're really not. They're not listening to anybody. You know, Microsoft, they're listening to Microsoft. Okay, that's a real problem. Let me see. Killer Dude 35 says, yup, preach the truth crap. Microsoft is having a really tough time justifying their presence in gaming. This has been a big thing that I've been saying all along. Hold on. I can't tell if that's a joke account. Xbox the Beast says Crackdown 3 was better than God of War. That is really... I think that's funny. Hopefully you're being witty, because that is quite witty. I enjoy that. Hold on. 9Live says, bro, Sony doesn't have the tech to make a flight simulator. Who the hell asked for a flight simulator that's a console owner, 9Lives? Who was asking for that? Who? Please tell me, who the hell was asking for a flight? Was it you, 9Lives? Are you asking for a flight simulator? Wouldn't you rather had a Fable announcement or a new AAA IP announcement? Wouldn't you? I mean, honestly, if your idea of fun or a video, is that even a game? You're just flying around. How is that a game? How is that a game? Right? Like, what fun is that? I don't understand. Like, wouldn't you rather have something like Last of Us 2 or Ghost of Tsushima or, you know, something? That's, like, the most, not even a game. Like, I don't get it. Like, people are, how is that a game? I don't understand it. Like, maybe you can enlighten me, but how is that anything? You know? I don't understand. Just tell me. I would love to know. How? How is that a game? Hey, hit the like button. Almost 400 watching. Maybe we can get up to 150. I would love a space sim. Dude, you're talking about like a X-Wing game or something like that. A little bit different than just a flight simulator that Microsoft. It's like a tech demo teaching tool that Microsoft is putting out. It's not really. It's not really something that that's really gonna push anything. Like, again, like, people are just they're really sort of hyping up this stuff because there's nothing else to hype up. You know what I mean? There's literally nothing to hype up. That's the problem. They have nothing to talk about, and that's, I think, it just goes to show you. You know what I mean? It just goes to show you that where people's minds are when it comes to next generation. Like, Microsoft is the one that people are kind of overlooking or whatever. So, according to this as well, the UI is getting an overhaul as well. So what does the UI actually look like? Or how big will the solid-state drive be? Or even is that a microphone? Which is exactly what they asked Mark Cerny as he hands him the prototype of the next-generation controller. An unlabeled matte black controller that looks an awful lot like the PS4's DualShock 4. After all, there's a little hole on it, and recently published patent points to Sony developing a voice-driven AI assistant for the PlayStation, but all he gets from Mark Cerny is, we'll talk more about it another time. We file patents on a regular basis, a spokesperson tells him later, and like many companies, some of those patents end up in our products and some don't. The controller, which history suggests will be called the DualShock 5, though Cerny just says it doesn't have a name yet, does have some features Cerny's more interested in acknowledging. One is adaptive triggers. The one can vary levels of resistance to make shooting a bow feel more like a real thing, and the tension increases as you pull the arrow back or make a machine gun feel far different from a shotgun. It also has haptic feedback, far more capable than the rumble motor console gamers are used to, with highly programmable voice coil actuators located in the left and right grips. So it also has an improved speaker on the controller, and the haptics can enable some astonishing effects. He plays through a series of short demos, courtesy of the same Japan studio team that designed PlayStation VR's Astrobot Rescue Mission. In the most impressive, he ran through a character through a platform level featuring a number of different surfaces, all of which gave distinct and surprisingly immersive tactile experiences. Sand felt slow, mud felt slow and soggy on ice. A high-frequency response made the thumbsticks really feel like my character was gliding, jumping into a pool. I got a sense of resistance in the water on a bridge, a bouncy sensation. So basically, the controller with these new features are helping your immersion levels. And think about that. There's not going to be load times. You're going to have more immersive worlds, bigger worlds, smarter AI, and now the controller is going to help you feel more immersed as well. That's why it sounds so awesome as well. He also got a version of Gran Turismo Sport that Sony ported over to the PS5 dev kit, a dev kit that on quick glance looks a lot like the one Gizmodo reported on last week. So that means the V dev kit might be true. V, obviously, Roman numeral for 5, PlayStation 5, get it. So he could feel both surfaces between the track and the dirt. Doing the same thing on the track using the DualShock 4 on the PS4, that sensation disappeared entirely. It wasn't that old-style rumble feedback paled in comparison. It was there. There was no feedback at all. User tests found that the rumble feedback was too tiring to use continuously, so the released version of GT Sport simply didn't use it. The difference has been a long time coming. The controller has been working on haptic feedback since the DualShock 4 was in development, so that's really good as well. What they're going to be doing, like, you're going to be so immersed in this stuff. So speaking of that, the UI is a matter of speculation. While a number of studios already had their PS5 dev kits, the controller prototypes began rolling out much more recently, and no one is ready to name specific titles they're developing for the PS5. But one studio, Bluepoint, says we're working on a big one right now, according to Marco Thrush, president of Bluepoint Games, which most recently worked on last year's remake of Shadow of the Colossus. And he says, I'll let you figure out the rest. That doesn't mean they're not exploring the solid-state drive. He says he's really excited about that. You don't need to do gameplay hacks anymore to artificially slow down players, lock them behind doors, anything like that. Back in the cartridge days, games used to load instantly. We're kind of going back to what consoles used to be. This is great. We've broken so much immersion with we have to install this and do this, and you have to load this and an elevator for that and that. You know what I mean? Like 30 seconds, a minute. Like, how long is too long? Like, when I'm playing a game, I don't want to sit there and have to worry about, oh, hey, you know what? I got to wait a minute and a half before I could even load this next part up. Like, it makes it not fun. Like, I was playing, what was I playing? I was playing Ukulele, the new, like, side-scrolling one, and when it started over, like I died or whatever, it went back to this other screen. It was like this long loading screen. It just obviously was not, you know, what's indicative to something good. Like, I don't like that. It takes you out of the moment. It takes you out of the game. And I'm glad to see that Sony is like really focused on keeping you immersed in this game with no loading times. Your controller actually makes you feel a part of the game more than ever before, and the worlds are going to be bigger and better than ever, and they're not going to be held back by the PS4, which I think is a huge bonus, and that also has me very, very excited by what we're going to be able to see. Can you guys get me up to 150 likes? I would certainly appreciate that as we continue talking about some of this amazing PlayStation 5 news that broke today. I'm telling you what, absolutely tremendous news. Tremendous stuff. I'm very excited by what we're seeing. It's not even a question of, hey, are you getting a PlayStation 5 or a Scarlet? It's like PlayStation 5 all day. Microsoft can't even get out of their own way at this point. Let's see. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but he says, do you think Blue Point's big PS5 games is a Demon Souls remake or something entirely different? It could be a Demon Souls remake. I don't know. I actually tend to think that From Software is working on Bloodborne 2 with Sony, so I don't know if they want to have both of those out at the same time. It could be something completely new. It could be a remake. I don't really know. Pitch Black says 9 Lives is trolling so hard, don't take him too seriously. I get it, dude. No, it's fine. He supports the channel. He really does you know what I mean? I'm fine to other people's opinions and stuff like that. So, it doesn't really bother me or anything like that. I just think that if he likes Xbox, I would hope that he is really just honest with himself and say, you know, Xbox has really had a lackluster generation, and hopefully they can, and hopefully they can really, continue to sort of support that, in my opinion anyway. So, BDR says, so Sony aren't going to use Blu-ray discs anymore, and they're going to just straight up copy Nintendo. No, the PS5 has a 4K Blu-ray player, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. They're going to do the whole 4K Blu-ray stuff, just like Microsoft was doing, which I think is very smart. 4K Blu-ray players, for those that want the physical media or whatever, like I still feel like digital is going to be 50% next gen, and probably slowly take over more of that. But you still have a lot of people that like physical media, and so they're going to continue to do that. Also, I think it's smart because I love 4K Blu-rays, so it's very cool to see them actually be able to do that. Mad Dog Mayhem says, crap, brother, you're right. PS5 is going to win next gen. It's not even going to be close. That's the thing. Like, Sony's already won this stuff, okay? Microsoft doesn't know what they're doing. Microsoft are the ones that continually refuse to announce anything for their fans. Like, I've never seen anything like it in my life. And again, some of these fans are just don't care. They'll continue to support Microsoft no matter what they do. 9 Lives does say, I agree this gen was bad, but Phil has turned Xbox around for the better. Let me ask you this, 9 Lives. What exactly did Phil do to turn around Xbox? Because Xbox is selling worse than it ever has. We've have the longest droughts of games that we've ever had. So I'm curious to hear your opinion on what Xbox actually did. Oh, so you pronounce it Elemenopino. Elemenop. Okay, my bad, man. Elemenop. I got you, man. My bad. That's my bad. Yeah, physical all the. Yeah, you know what? I buy a lot of physical stuff on PS4. Basically, especially like VR stuff whenever I can get it. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I wanted a little bit talk about some more about this stuff as well. Like I said, Sony changing up their UI, freshening it up, I think is very smart. We also have to look at the fact that, like I pointed out earlier, Microsoft has failed to really even have a UI, right? Like, unfortunately, I've never seen anything like it. Like, 5 years, 6 years into a generation, and we have to beta test this thing still. Like, that to me says everything we need to know. Like, can we trust Microsoft to actually deliver something that works right out of the gate? Somehow I kind of doubt that. But, you know, you never know. I'm hoping that they can do the best. Like, we need that competition. At this particular juncture, though, I'm not really sure that we have any competition between the two. It seems like Microsoft just does not really know, you know, doesn't really know what to do at this particular time, right? Like, they're going to do this Xbox XO19 thing, and Xbox fans are hyping this thing up. They think they're going to get some kind of announcement from Scarlett. They think they're going to get some unannounced AAA game. Like, none of that stuff is going to happen. If you're an Xbox fan, like I said, it really, really sucks that, you know, we have to sort of set our expectations so low, right? Like, there's no reason to get excited about what Microsoft is doing or at XO or any other time after that. There's literally no reason to be excited or to think that Microsoft is going to go out of their way to make any kind of special announcements or anything like that. You know, and that's sad to me, right? That's like something that I feel like, you know, kind of deters people from buying Xboxes in the future. You know, when I hear people talk about Xbox and PlayStation, it's usually, you know, they're buying, you know, a PlayStation for those great exclusives or something like that. When people are talking about Xbox, I haven't heard anybody say, hey, I want to buy an Xbox in a very long time. Okay? Like, and that's a fact, you know? Like, I try to tell people, right? Like, I'm friends with some people that are still on Xbox, and I can't even get them to download a games with Gold Game, okay? They don't care about Game Pass. You know, they care about like exclusive stuff. My brother, my older brother, he's a perfect example. He's been an Xbox guy forever. He recently got rid of his and bought a PlayStation 4 and VR and, you know, God of War and Spider-Man and all that stuff. That stuff's just not available on Xbox. And when I was talking to him about it, he's like, yeah, you know, because I got rid of Xbox, they don't ever come out with anything new. And this was right around the time when Crackdown 3 came out. I says, well, Crackdown 3, and he goes, well, is it good? And I had to laugh because of course it's not good. You know, like, Microsoft doesn't do good games. So, you know, that's a little bit unfortunate, but again, the competition needs to be there, and we need to see that kind of competition between these companies, so hopefully they can kind of get things cooking there in the future. Hey, can we get to 150 likes? That would be awesome. I'm going to answer some questions. Didn't they also talk about a bigger battery life in the new controller? Yes, they did, Elemento Pino. They talk about how the battery life is going to be much more robust and have much more of a longer lasting life. Windows 10 is the best OS. Oh, it sure is. The real White Ski says, unless we see E3 2020 Microsoft conference gives a standing ovation and people booing Sony's conference, Microsoft will get crushed next gen too. They're already in a really bad spot. They're in a super bad spot. I'm not gonna lie. Y9 Power says, Crapgamer Reviews, traditional gaming is trying to keep your user base happy by giving them what they want. Agree 100%. Again, Sony's not going to put their big single-player exclusives natively on PC. Eventually, they might do day and date with PS Now at some point, okay? But they're not going to do that right away. And again, if you got great games and you're a console gamer, you don't even care about that, like streaming the games or like who cares? You're still going to get the game. On Xbox's side, it's like not only are you not getting anything exclusive, but I wouldn't put it past Microsoft to announce PC exclusives at the Xbox Scarlet reveal. Here's Xbox Scarlet. It's a monster that eats monsters for monsters. And now let me show off this RTS game that looks like a Saturday morning cartoon, and it's exclusively coming to Windows 10 on Game Pass PC. What a great time to be in the Microsoft ecosystem. Oh, but Xbox Scarlet and monsters, right? Like, it's so stupid. Like, I can honestly see Microsoft doing something like that because, let's be real, at the last Inside Xbox, they announced Game Pass PC games. They talked about xCloud and nothing for the console. There was literally no console announcements. So yeah, people are going to be upset. People continue to be upset and stuff like that, and I can understand that. I got to definitely say, you know, as a somebody that's been you know, with Xbox since the beginning, it's really kind of upsetting to see the way that they've actually kind of gone. You know, hopefully they can change things around. I feel like they need to change some things around, but I just have my doubts about whether or not they're actually going to be able to do that. let's see, 9Live says they don't do day and date because their servers can't handle 5 million players. Well, if their servers can't handle 5 million players, that's a good thing. I don't think that they have to worry about that right at this particular time. You know what I mean? Did Sony CEO quitting affect PlayStation, or did it make it better? I don't know yet. I think Jim Ryan is sort of an old dog, so I think he's going to really kind of take things to Phil and company. He's really going to go all out and try to, maybe fight like old school style. So it could be a good thing for PlayStation. We'll have to see. Like, if he needs to stay really focused on the console fan base, and I think if he'll do fine if he does that. So as long as he does that. Let me see. Xbox is stuck using DDR. Look at the comparison in hardware. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a problem. 9Live says, Pitch Black, look it up, dude. That's why they signed up Microsoft Azure. Well, I mean, we don't know exactly what's going on with that. They only had the idea in their official announcements that they were looking to actually, they were hoping to actually sort of reach that 5 million mark by the end of next generation, having those subscribers. So it still seems to me like their main focus is console, and the fact that they came out today and started talking about their console shows that they have this huge focus for their console base, and I think that's something that Microsoft misses out on, right? Like, I've liked Xbox for a long time, but let's be real, they have absolutely no focus on their console at this particular time. Like, do you honestly feel like they have a focus for the console? Phil Spencer himself has mentioned multiple times that he doesn't care if we buy his console, right? Like, he doesn't care. So, again, at what point do we go, this is kind of upsetting or whatever. Maybe Microsoft can come out and do something else or do something different or actually act like they want us to support their console. Like, that's the thing that I want to see them do anyway. So hopefully they can do that. Xbox did better during the 360 because Xbox division was isolated. Microsoft is fragmented, bloated company, and it's affected many product lines. Now it's spreading to Xbox division. It's suffering the same fate. Well, again, my thing is, why in the world do you try to fit gaming into a service, right? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So, Crapgamer, what do you think Xbox can do to the right the ship, if anything? Well, games. They have to announce big AAA games, right? Like, I feel like they're going to have a powerful box. They're going to be equal to Sony with the power or whatever, most likely. They're probably going to be similar in price, if not the same price. It's going to come down to the content. Like, you've got to have games. You can't just keep your gamers, your fans in the dark for an entire generation again. You can't make them people suffer for an entire generation yet again. It just does not make sense. You have to be able to do that. Browser gaming, 9Lives. Hey, listen, they're trying to stay ahead of the game, right? So that the browser stuff is so that they can be used on mobile. That's what that is. It's not exactly trying to do that, and again, I feel like the Stadia stuff is going to be closed up within a couple years anyway, so it really just comes down to what these companies can do. Like, they're just trying to stay ahead of the curve, but Sony has a very lucrative console that millions and millions of fans want. What does Microsoft have? They don't have that, in my opinion. Ever watch Ready Player One? That's the games as a service BS. Yeah, I've seen it. It's a good movie. Look, unfortunately, they're sort of going that way. Hopefully Sony can stave that off a little bit. I'm kind of getting sick of the whole services stuff as a fan. I wish that they would change that or whatever, but I doubt that they do. Let's see. I'm gonna answer some more questions in there. And ask some more questions. I'll be happy to sort of talk about that or whatever you guys want to do. Talk about some more. Oh, Sony did end Facebook support for the PS4. I saw Xbox fans kind of running with that yesterday. What a joke, right? Like, they're so out there to make PlayStation look bad that they start talking about ending Facebook support. Like, that's some kind of big deal. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know that it was supported on Facebook. So that, to me, I found to be quite funny, quite humorous, quite funny. But again, at the same time, Microsoft, I'm sure, will, again, I'm not trying to suggest that Microsoft is going to completely fail. They seem to be happy with what they're doing, which I think is cool. Like I said, Microsoft, they want to switch around their metrics. They could be in it for the long haul. They want to hit a certain amount of subscribers. I don't think the number that they have now, I think it's under 5 million. I think they're not making anything off of stuff like Halo and Gears right now with that. But maybe in the long run, maybe they can, if they can get that 50, 75, 100 million like you know, Netflix. But until that point, I think they're kind of just floundering. Crap, I guess you could replace that Gears tattoo with the Last of Us tattoo. No, listen, that was at a time when I was really enjoying Gears, man. It's like personal, in my personal life and stuff like that. I did something for me that I enjoyed, and so I got that. So I don't regret that. I think it's cool, and the artwork looks good. I just regret what Microsoft has kind of turned that into. What's up? Get your hustle up. Appreciate you stopping by. Please hit the like button. Maybe we can get to 175 likes. I would appreciate that as well. Let's see. Ford says, I'm sick of services. Too many streaming app subscriptions are also BS. I agree 100%. Vaughn says, how many friends you have that are jumping from Xbox to PlayStation? I think all of them. So I haven't turned on my Xbox in a while. Just being honest with you guys, I haven't turned mine on in a while. So, you know, it's just one of those things where I have no reason to use my Xbox lately. So hopefully, you know, Microsoft can give me reasons. Again, I have a I have an Xbox One X, so I'm not really in a super hurry, to be honest with you guys, to upgrade that. They haven't given me any reason to do that, honestly. So we'll have to see how that works out. I definitely want to see if Microsoft can actually deliver and give us some really great content. If they can do that, I think they'll be in a little bit better spot. But so far, I just don't trust them to actually be able to do that, you know. Again, just something about that just kind of rubs me the wrong way with what Microsoft is talking about. So, again, just my personal opinion as well. You know, I hope that I don't want Microsoft to go anywhere, but I want them to continue to try to reinvent some things. You know, hopefully. Also, by the way, if you guys were wondering that the rumors about poor communication between Sony and developers was just BS, it was not true. That's been confirmed now as well. Apparently, developers have been well in the know about a lot of this stuff for a long time, and you know, you don't have to really kind of worry about any of that kind of stuff going bad or anything like that. So, there is this, though. There is kind of a statement that suggests that some PS4 games might not be playable on PS5, though, through backwards compatibility. This says, we already know that PlayStation 5 will have backwards compatibility, but as it turns out, the current gen console's entire catalog may not carry over. In a rather vague statement, okay, this is a Japanese publication, and it was translated. It says, currently the dev team is putting all power on verifying whether they can secure complete compatibility. Please wait for more information. So that could be a bad translation. I don't know, but it does sound like, it just seems like from a hardware standpoint, this thing's powerful enough to really kind of do whatever it wants. I could even see them emulating PS3 if they wanted to. So yeah, like that's very interesting to see if that's going to be something that kind of works out down the road. But yeah, very interesting stuff there indeed. Hit the like button, please. I would appreciate it. Do I play multiplats? I play multiplats, but mostly I like playing through like the exclusives and stuff, man. I get bored of the same old stuff. Like I am looking forward to that new Star Wars game. We haven't had a single player Star Wars game where it's only Star Wars and only single player this entire generation. So I'm looking forward to that as a multiplat. I like Control. Let me think. I'm looking forward to Call of Duty, but I always look forward to Call of Duty, but this is like a sort of a reboot or whatever. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting those games. And again, Concrete Genie I'm going to start tonight, and then obviously Medieval Remake and Death Stranding are coming out. So I'm looking forward to a lot of Doom Eternal was delayed, so that kind of sucks. Hopefully that can come out and do something next gen or next year. I believe it's not going to be good though. Like I feel like them delaying that game means that it means that probably Death Stranding is going to be game of the year for this year, which would mean The Last of Us 2 would probably win next year. So you're looking at back-to-back-to-back Game of the Year winners for Sony. That's pretty incredible if you think about it. So, you know, I just my opinion anyway. Let's see. I'm going to answer a few more. I used to be a big fan of Killer Instinct. What happened? Dude, Killer Instinct, they haven't released a new one in, like, when was the last time we got any kind of new content for that, man? It's been 3-4 years, right? So it's been a really long time. Like, I would love a Killer Instinct 2, but obviously Phil Spencer and company don't care. Maximilian Dude, the fighting game enthusiast and YouTuber, even put together a Killer Instinct movement on YouTube and had it trending on Twitter, and Phil Spencer and company never even responded. They literally never took the time out to respond. So yeah, I like Killer Instinct, but it seems like Phil Spencer and company don't care about Killer Instinct. Yep, PS5 hardware accelerated ray tracing confirmed 100%. That's exactly what's going on. Hey, hit the like button. Let's get up to 170, 175. I would absolutely love that. It would mean a lot to me if you guys could do that. It's been a heck of a day, man. I love it when news breaks, and this is really cool stuff to actually see. Let's see. If Sony does browser gaming, I'll be able to play Sony's exclusives on my Xbox. Can't you do that either way with Microsoft's games? I mean, like, you'd have to stream it. So, I mean, that's fine. I like whatever you want to do, man. I'm not going to stop you, but I'm just saying, like, I want to see, like, when I seen people posting videos of God of War running at 720p with that input lag, and they're trying to say, oh, look, I'm playing this or whatever. Like, to me, I got to laugh out of that because at the end of the day, those games are meant to be enjoyed in their full glory, man. Like, God of War should be played on a 4K TV with surround sound and HDR, not on a browser or 720p. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And I would say the same thing. If Microsoft had some brilliant game that really took advantage of the hardware, they don't. But if they did, maybe Gears 5. But that's not exactly like a great game in my opinion. But for argument's sake, we'll say, okay, so take a Gears 5 and like that game at 720p being streamed or something, that would suck. Like that, those games are supposed to be enjoyed. What's the point in these developers making these games that can run on all this massive hardware if they're going to be scaled down to next to nothing? It literally makes no sense. No sense. So yeah, hopefully they can like fix something or what. Best game on each console this gen: God of War on PS4. Let me see. Nintendo Switch. I would say Zelda Breath of the Wild. And then on the Xbox One, best game, Forza Horizon 3. Yeah, Forza Horizon 3 for sure. 9 Live says, Jim Ryan said he wants to double down on PS Now, so you know they will upgrade the service beyond 720. Even if they do, man. Like, that's not how most people want to play their games. Streaming, they've been streaming their first-party stuff this entire generation, man. They've had games, PS4 games, downloadable, whatever, this entire generation. You just have to face the fact. I know it's hard for some people to realize this, right? That it seems like gamers don't want to play their games that way through streaming devices, especially in like America and the UK and stuff like that. They want to play their games on a console or a PC natively. They just don't care about that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that Sony and Microsoft and maybe Nintendo will even be doing that stuff. But at the same time, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. 9 Lives or Y9 Power says Scarlet will not show its true power until the end of its cycle to keep slow-ass developers' visions intact. Again, that's where the original Xbox One is holding it back, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Have they still not fixed Gears? I keep seeing them announce that they're fixing Gears 5, this problem or that problem. Yeah, so it's not right yet. It's not right yet. So we'll have to see how that kind of how that sort of works out. Let's see. Xbox may be delivered 2023, 2025. Now it's time for PlayStation. Like, do people really want to wait for the middle of next generation on top of what we've already waited for? You know, that's going to be a huge problem. Like, I like that Sony's taken this the way that they've done things, and they're doing it like at a certain way right now. Right, they're getting the hardware stuff out of the way. They're going to show off the console. They're going to show off great games, and that's going to be it. They're going to do that. I think that's going to be the difference maker, and I'm excited for that. So hopefully they can talk about that, and that's what I'm most excited for. Let's go. I really want to see that. I want to see what these companies can do right from the start. People keep giving Phil Spencer. Listen, you like Phil Spencer, I get it. But at what point do we go, you know what, Phil? You've had long enough time to change things, to get us some games, to excite the fan base, and you failed to do it. So I think we're vastly coming up on that time where we should question that and go, you know what, Phil Spencer, maybe he's not the answer that we're looking for. So just my personal thoughts and opinion, though. I'll answer a couple more questions, then I got to get the hell out of here. 9 Live says, I disagree. The younger generation don't care where they play the games. They do. You think that they're going to want to stream games? I mean, with stutters and stuff like that. Like, I don't know about, like, I have 4G, but that stutters and pixelates when you try to watch YouTube and stuff like that. And trust me, the funny part is Phil Spencer says stuff like, yeah, we want to get people involved in gaming without having that, purchase a console to be able to do it. Maybe they can't afford a console. But if you look at the game, at the type of phone you need to stream, you're talking about phones that cost hundreds of dollars, okay? And there's not even iPhones supported on that. So there's still that expense there, and you still have to have good enough internet to be able to push that. And then, again, that's still not going to be good enough, in my opinion, for most people to really do what they want to do. Am I getting Modern Warfare on PS4 or Xbox? The couple people that I still am friends with are probably going to play it on Xbox, so I'm going to get it on Xbox. Did Phil really say he doesn't care if you buy an Xbox? Well, what Phil said was he doesn't care if we buy his next Xbox or something along those lines, but he said that multiple times, you know what I mean? So, it's just one of those things. Let's see. I'm going to answer one more question, and I'm going to get out of here. Please hit the like button. We are so close to 170. That would totally rock if you guys could get me there before I end the stream. Let's see. No 120 frames per second, right? Well, we don't know. We don't really know. Call of Duty Mobile is actually an alright game. I wouldn't know, man. I don't play mobile games. Shadow the Ghost says, new Xbox exclusive is wait for E3. Exactly. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing okay. I got off work. I was laughing, having a good time, tweeting people, having fun, making some jokes about Xbox and talking about the PS5. So I was really excited to come home and do about an hour, actually about an hour and 15 minutes now of this, and I'm going to get out of here. Killer Dude says, Phil has gotten a pass for far too long for simply not being Don Matrick. Agree 100%. What's up, Luca? I appreciate you stopping by as well. Here's the thing with Phil Spencer, okay? I've never seen, like, somebody be able to draw in the personalities the way that he has, right? Like, people just let whatever he says go, right? Whatever he says. And I feel like that's something that, you know what I mean, that people got to get out of their minds a little bit, right? Like, this guy is just a guy. What has he actually delivered in the realm of actual games for us, right? He hasn't delivered anything, nothing that we've asked for, right? We asked for a Rise 2, no. Sunset Overdrive 2, no. Quantum Break 2, no. Killer Instinct 2, no. Literally says no to every single game we've asked for. That's a problem. So, again, it's really been bad to kind of see that, but I appreciate you guys coming out here. Again, I'm really excited about the PS5. Scarlet is a no-go for me on day one. PS5, that's what I'm going to get. It just doesn't make sense. I have an Xbox One X if I really want to play Halo that bad, and I'm sure Halo's going to be really bogged down with games as a service features and as well as stuff like, microtransactions, and I just got a feeling they're going to ruin that franchise as well. So anyway, of course I got a dog. Are you kidding me? So anyway, I appreciate you guys coming out. Please hit the like button, share it out. Thank you so much for coming out today. You guys have been awesome. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch you guys Xbox Nation tomorrow. Thank you so much. Subscribe. Become a member of the channel if you want to. It supports the channel. I would appreciate that as well. Otherwise not. It doesn't matter if you want to be a freeloader. I appreciate that too. Have a great one. Peace out. Rack 'em up.